Um, Talking about guys getting paid, obviously mentioning Christian McCaffrey, the biggest guys getting paid news recently was Justin Jefferson becoming the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history. Drew, let's pick out 3 winners and 3 losers from this contract and the fallout that's going to follow it. So,
all right,
for
number
me
one
personally,
winner. I go
okay,
first. I'm
all
taking
right,
the
go
easy
ahead.
one. Number one winner, Micah Parsons.
Okay, you want to explain why Micah?
Because he wants to be the highest paid non-quarterback in the NFL when he gets his contract. Justin Jefferson is currently the highest paid non-quarterback in the NFL. He took that mantle away from Nick Bosa.
Yeah,
Micah Parsons is a winner from this.
yeah. And it's funny that we sit here. It's Micah to me, and I know that Micah's super polarizing. And when it comes to polarizing players on my teams, we just got done talking about Jason Tatum and the Boston Celtics and how much I defend Jason Tatum. Micah's almost non-defensible sometimes, and it's so hard to defend that man. You have the entire offseason to get healthy. You're out there to goddamn fucking sumo wrestling with CJ Stroud and doing all these antic shit, and you want time away from OTAs to heal your body. When specifically the Cowboys coaching staff was looking for you to take a step forward and be a better leader for your team, not just for your defense, but for your team. And you haven't taken that step forward. Micah feels very, very immature still. He doesn't feel ready to be a leader on this defense. While you look at some of the other top guys in the league, talking about Nick Bosa, talking about Myles Garrett, talking about TJ Watt, talking about Max Crosby, these guys feel leaders on their defense. They're mic'd up. You can hear them talking.
Nick Bosa was at OTAs, by the way.
And it did just exactly. And just Micah doesn't feel ready to take that step forward. Him getting the big contract is probably inevitable. It's just a little bit disappointing to kind of see him take a back seat on all the extracurriculars that comes with being a superstar on your team. My first winner is JJ McCarthy. JJ McCarthy gets to have the best wide receiver in the league, not lose him for a quarterback that needs help and needs as many weapons around him as possible, whether that is Aaron Jones. TJ Hawkinson will come back in the middle of the season, coming off of his major injury at the end of the year. Now you can bring back Justin Jefferson. You don't have to worry about that. That doesn't have to be a cloud looming over your head. Also, Jordan Addison and the various pieces on that offensive line as well. So I think the biggest winner here for me is definitely going to be JJ McCarthy, because he gets to, actually throw the ball to for the next couple of years, if he stays that long, next couple of years, to Justin Jefferson. Who's your next winner?
I'm not going to do the stupid Jamar Chase, CeeDee Lamb. Duh. We're all aware, right? That's why I went Micah number one. Number 2 winners are going to be the Detroit Lions, Philadelphia Eagles, and the Houston Texans, because they were smart enough to lock up their player, Nico Collins, AJ Brown, and Amon-Ra St. Brown before this contract came down. Yep. This is one of the things that made me nervous about Brandon Ayuk. Justin Jefferson and CeeDee Lamb's contracts made me very nervous about Brandon Ayuk, because he is not in that space. Even if you take out his advanced stats and say he might be, he's never catching that many balls, so you can't pay him like Justin Jefferson, because he's never going to have Justin Jefferson stats, because we got 7,000 great offensive weapons. Congratulations. You can't pay Brandon Ayuk $32 million a year. Right. So winners are going to be these teams that locked up their star wide receivers. Nico Collins, not really a star wide receiver, but I just threw him in for another team. But Amon-Ra St. Brown, who wants that, and the Philadelphia Eagles for getting their contracts done before this one came down.
Yeah, I had a couple of those various teams as well, specifically the Eagles for locking up their players before this happened. Especially, you look at Jamar Chase and CeeDee Lamb. Obviously, they're very easily, if you have the Eagles, I'm going to go and just take the CeeDee Lamb, Jamar Chase thing.
Sure.
Obviously, they were holding out and everyone was kind of waiting for each other to sign those contracts. And it's funny because I think of CeeDee Lamb, obviously, is next guy up to make that type of money with the season and progressions that he's had year after year after year. Am I wrong for thinking that Jamar Chase should make less money than both those guys and maybe a handful of other wide receivers in the league? I know he probably won't, but am I wrong to think that maybe he should make a little bit less? Am I just clouded in my memory of Jamar Chase? I know he's a very good wide receiver, and I know he's very talented, but I feel like the things that CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson, AJ Brown, Amon-Ra. I feel like what those guys do is a little bit, almost I feel like a little bit more than what Jamar Chase does. I don't know if I'm wrong in that.
Yeah, there's definitely an interesting argument to be made about Jamar Chase. I got him right here. 1,200 yards, 7 touchdowns, 1,000 yards, 9 touchdowns, 1,455 yards, 13 touchdowns. That's his rookie year that he set out with 14 and 13, and now he's just gone down every year since.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's been some shit with Joe Burrow as well, so I don't want to dig too deep into that. But yeah, it's a lot of money. Justin Jefferson changes the game.
Yeah.
Does Jamar Chase change the game?
Yep.
You know, you're it's hard to say.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting conversation. I know we've done in the past, just you and I back and forth about top 10 wide receivers, running backs moving into the next season. When we actually put some of those lists out on the podcast, it's just interesting to see some of those guys fall into place. Like
you have to pay that dude because of JJ McCarthy. There was nothing else you could do.
Yeah,
you already got Burrow.
Yeah.
You can re-sign Higgins and get. You know, honestly, how much worse are the Bengals going to be re-signing T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd and losing Jamar Chase? How much worse? A game?
Yeah.
A game and a half? Or is that team beating the fucking bitch-ass Chiefs anyway? You know, should we even watch football next season? Should we just meet tomorrow at Champ Sporting Goods and buy goddamn Travis Kelce jerseys and be Chiefs fans? Should we just rename this the Chiefs Lovers Podcast? Like, why does any of this matter? They're just going to win. I'm just going to grow out my mustache and eat McDonald's and be fat like Andy Reid. I'm finally having my meltdown.
I know. I was like,
I can't believe we fucking lost again. God damn it.
Oh, man.
Deebo Samuel's bitch ass can't get open in the Super Bowl.
Yep. I'll go ahead and take the next winner. I think the next winner out of this entire contract fallout is the Minnesota Vikings. I think they're one of the biggest winners. And for the pure fact that they can actually keep a star wide receiver instead of losing them.
It was just a sign and trade.
Stephon Diggs and just sign and trade and Randy Moss. So another generational wide receiver potentially was going to step away and leave. They locked him up. They finally can get the monkey off their back of just losing wide receiver after wide receiver that are very, very, very talented all-pro wide receivers. So good for them for actually locking up Justin Jefferson. It's cool to see when a guy plays on one team for a really long time. So hopefully Jay Jettis is going to be one of those guys. Who's your last winner?
Man, I should have left. So we got Micah because obviously he's in line to get the next biggest contract. We got JJ McCarthy. We got the Vikings. We got the other teams that signed wide receivers. Hell, I mean the frickin' his agent.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's 6 winners that we're trying to pour on. So we want to move on to the losers again.
I think it's a win for small market teams. You know what I mean? I think it's a win for the Minnesota Vikings. They got this beautiful stadium out there, and they've shown that a star will stay, and it's always tough. You know, who really wants to play in Minnesota? Like, I know it's an indoor stadium, but like, you could be on the beach in Miami during the week. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's just...
Yep.
So,
absolutely.
Sorry, I just... My whole mind reset with that meltdown. A
little bit of your rant.
Yeah.
I'll take the first loser. And for my losers, I only really have teams for the losers. And so we might overlap a little bit. I would say the biggest surprise loser and like least obvious would probably be the Miami Dolphins are some of the biggest losers in this. Tyreek Hill coming out, and this is directly after paying Jalen Waddle and being the 4th highest paid wide receiver in the league, while Tyreek Hill is the 3rd. And now Tyreek Hill wants to re-up his contract and redo it and get a new contract and be the highest paid wide receiver in the league, or maybe even highest paid non-quarterback in the league. So he's old, man. Like, what are we doing? Like, Tyreek Hill doesn't even want to play the game. He wants to go be an adult star after he retires. Like, what are we talking about?
On the podcast.
And I I don't understand what we're thinking here. And unfortunately, Miami might end up paying him. But you also have to think about the looming contract of potentially Tua. Might end up moving on from him. Again, you just paid Jalen Waddle. And you have a couple other guys that are going to end up moving forward for the contracts here in the very near future for a team that does not have a lot of money and struggled in the offseason to do anything because they were started off the offseason negative $60 million in the cap space. So I think, again, one of the biggest losers here is the Miami Dolphins, especially with Tyreek Hill asking for another contract. I heard that. That was weird.
Yeah.
Was that a bang on your side?
I don't know.
All right. Next loser.
Brandon Ayuk.
Okay, so he's a loser in this. I wasn't sure whether to put the Niners or Brandon Ayuk because I know they want to bring him back, but I put them specifically because of the potential of losing him. But I wasn't sure to put him or BA.
Yeah, they're not gonna overpay for him. They just won't. I love him. He's Brock Purdy's number one guy. I think he's an amazing wide receiver. I think he's one of the best wide receivers we've ever had outside of Terrell Owens and a year of Randy Moss. That's a joke. He wasn't that great for us. But they're not going to pay him. You're not getting $30 million a year. You're not getting $32 million a year. And now that Justin Jefferson has set that contract and what production looks at that number, Brandon Ayuk just doesn't sniff it.
Yeah.
Maybe next year when Kittle's gone and Juszczyk is gone and we've moved on from Deebo Samuel and there's he's the number one guy and that's all we got. But even our number, our most targeted third down guy is Juwan Jennings, who we just signed an extension to. It's not Ayuk.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? On third down, you're looking for Justin Jefferson. So,
and you guys have made it work with other wide receivers that aren't the superstar level of BA.
And I've given you the stats on Brandon Ayuk on why he's fantastic, on why I think he's a top 5 to 10 wide receiver in the league if he'd get more touches. I'm in the same bucket. His route of separation, his separations on his routes are amazing. He makes people look just stupid when he runs routes, but he's not going to get those many targets. He's not going to get 15 targets in a game. So I just don't think he's going to get the contract he wants. And before you take, I'm going to go back to back here before you take another one of mine. I'm actually going to put the Dallas Cowboys here as losers.
I also put them. So we had two of the same. Yeah.
Okay. Because Dak Prescott wants his contract. Micah Parsons wants his contract. CeeDee Lamb wants his contract. You guys got a lot going on over there. So
those top three for having no real postseason success is the most hurtful thing. It sucks. You can't get rid of Dak because obviously that's your quarterback, and that's also the heart and soul of your team.
Lance.
Shut the fuck up. And that's also a big.
I talked to Jerry the other day. That's what he told me. Sorry.
Yeah. What do he sound like again?
I'm not doing it. Hey guys, we're gonna go all in this offseason, and we're gonna get Eric Kendricks, and we're gonna bring Zeke back, and we're going all in.
Yeah, God, don't even get me started.
And we're going to draft the offensive lineman in the first round that Jacob hates.
Yeah, pretty much. It's a painful existence. So, between, again, you can't get rid of Dak, and then you have CeeDee Lamb, and I feel like you can't get rid of him either, not because of just his production, but if you look back a couple of years, you see Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb, and when you get rid of Amari Cooper, one of the biggest talking points outside of signing Michael Gallup was also CeeDee Lamb was ready to be a number one, and I'll be the first person to admit when I said I wasn't sure if CeeDee Lamb was ready to be the true number one, and he goes out and he balls, and the next year after that, he balls even further. So,
bro, I think the most expendable player is Micah.
It is Micah when you have those three guys, the most expendable is Micah. As explosive as he is, as talented as he is, we're not talking about a guy who's put up 18, 19, 20 sacks, right? We're not, again, you look at those top guys who've put up a lot of sack numbers, and when you think of who the best pass rushers in the league, TJ Watt, who always feels like he's sniffing somewhere around the 18 to 20 sack mark, Nick Bosa, Myles Garrett, TJ Watt, Max Crosby, like those guys always feel like they kind of have their hands somewhere around that 16 to 20 mark, and they want to constantly be around that range. Micah just hasn't got to that point, and disappearing in some of the bigger games and at portions during the season is not a good look for him, and it might end up having him move on to the next team. Probably going to go to, going to go to Washington, going to go play with Dan Quinn. So that's Micah's future, unfortunately. So did you have any more losers, or that was it, right? That was all three of them.
No, I mean, I think that's a pretty good list. I think that anytime a player gets a contract that he deserves, it's a win for, there's nothing bad about this contract. He's the best wide receiver in the NFL. He has
by
been.
far and away. Yeah.
And he just got paid a contract that he deserves. He didn't get jobbed in any type of way. And there's a young player that teams are really, NFL fans are really excited about. And JJ McCarthy, he's got a number one threat. It just, everything about this for football is good. A player played really hard. He got rewarded. A young quarterback got drafted. He's got a top guy. Because frankly, it's more exciting for the NFL when these young QBs ball out.